Hello, it's me. Hello from Archaix Underground. The knowledge and the wisdom in there and the information is so profound. Just to sort of adapt a song, I think it's by Adele called Hello. I may even do a full lyric alternative to that one in time. But I thought, I mentioned this on the last video that I would do basically a review of 2025. So the significant events were back in January, where the way I described it is life is not just like a symphony, it can also be like a concerto where you take the soloist role. And on this particular time in January, I was watching something on YouTube, stood up because I thought I need the toilet. The next thing I remember is being in bed and my head is throbbing. I could feel a sort of, it was damp, and it's like, oh, I must have fallen over on the tiled floor in the room. But that's where you put into practice what is called the law of reversal. And because I've got this blank spot, which is like a cadenza, I was able to play the event forward in my mind, or replay the event in my mind where I'd stood up and just gone to bed. So the next day, from reviewing and editing the story that played out, the sensation and the aches and pains were very much diminished. It's something I talked about on the old channel because there were previous events, but it got to the stage where it's a challenge, I know what to do. A few weeks after that, and it's between the two events seems to be an isometric marker where I was on a moped, I've positioned myself in the centre of the road, I'm indicating to turn left. And as I'm turning, this car has decided to try and overtake me, and I nearly got T-boned. And it's like, somewhere in there's probably an isometric marker of there was a sort of a possibility of an exodus or stay here. But I very much wanted to stay here. Why miss out on all the fun? So the next significant event was in August when I woke up. I had that hernia, or discovered I'd got the hernia. Within 3 weeks it had gone, because rather than react and go in the negative default, what I actually did was to laugh at it. And I played the Weird Al Yankovic song, parody song, Living with a Hernia, which is from the James Brown song, Living in America. So I just laughed at the whole thing, and it's like another challenge to overcome. And this is a pattern that you'll find on your spiritual path. But if we go right back to the basics, what you'll probably find when you have this perception of this reality, that things aren't the way they seem to be, you sort of open yourself up. But in doing so, you now get bombarded with all these new feelings, these new sensations. Now, it can go in many ways. You can basically flatline, which is the depression. That would be sort of like a fairly low level line if we were to put it on a graph. But what can also come that's related to that is anxiety and panic attacks, which are like on the heart monitor, it's going up and down like a yo-yo, and not that sort of nice, sort of even, steady flow in the middle. These are all sensations that you may have already gone through, or if you're now sort of new to sort of questioning everything about this reality, you may well go through that. I've come out the other side of those experiences. So then the hernia, and within 3 weeks it had gone. So the latest actually, before we get to that, the timing of the hernia was brilliant because it was in August when it was really hot, way too hot to do any physical activities on this land. So the timing of that was perfect, and all I did was adjust my physical activity and did the minimum. And I treated it in the same way as if you get, if you get a cut, that the body knows what to do. I don't need to import and reprogram the avatar with negative default programming, which changes your chemical makeup of every cell in your body. So what I do with all these perceived challenges is I laugh at them. You inject humor, and by the way, that is the only injection that you're ever going to need. And it doesn't require anything external of you to do that. So leading on, we get to the fall equinox. The first thing that happened on that weekend was the main solar panel decided to pack up, which I believe the problem is with the battery, which has still got to be resolved. That was followed 2 days later by these 2 alleged estate agents turning up. Now, this is where the intuition said, just go with this. Because I thought they're not very good actors. I know they're undercover detectives. It's pretty obvious. So it resulted in me being what I call kidnapped, what they would say is being arrested for having no ID. And my bank card and my phone have been withheld, which has caused further challenges, but they are challenges just like the sort of cutting the head open at the back, and various other things. They're things you can overcome. Now, I've made a very bold statement in Archaix Underground that anything that this Jesus Christ character can do in that story, I have already done or have the ability to do. So we're a step further on. I've had some fantastic help, mainly through Julia from Simplicity Revealed channel, who bought me this phone and also paid for the internet connection for me. Still not resolved all the issues. I spent 3.5 hours trying to sort out PayPal, this new online bank account, and trying to access funds from GoFundMe, but they don't make these things easy. And it's like, okay, I was a bit annoyed with myself for sort of getting so sort of deep into it and spending 3.5 hours. So the most recent thing has been that thinking that there's a problem with the 4G, but it actually turned out it was a mix-up in communication. I thought Julia had paid the internet for the month. She thought I'd paid it. And so I had no signal. But what came out of that, by not dwelling in the negative, what I actually did was get on with doing some landscaping work here. And it led on to my neighbour saying, do you know anybody that needs some work? Is looking for work. I need some gardening work done. So 5 minutes down the road, cash in hand work. How cool is that? And in conversation, he said to me about these 4 solar panels he's got that he doesn't use. So I said, would you be interested in selling them? And he said, you can have them. I mean, how beautiful is that? So the stroke, again, it follows that same pattern. As long as you don't go in the negative and you just embrace every challenge that is given to you, it works the same pattern as if you see a rain cloud. Now, if you focus on the worry and, oh, it's going to rain, and that kind of thinking, then it probably will rain. But if you allow that rain cloud to pass, like it has done today, it opens up to sunshine, and it's actually quite mild considering we're in December. I've only got a t-shirt on and this hoodie on, as it were. So this story is still unfolding, of course, but I wanted to share this as a testimony. So the stroke is like that rain cloud, which is like, okay, it's a new challenge from the universe. Because we're going back to that sort of graph analogy, it's like continuously climbing up a mountain. You'll get to a ledge, but you can't stay there. You've got to keep going. And then you'll get another challenge and another challenge. But what is the real game changer in all of this is that recognition that you are an immortal soul within a mortal vehicle, the physical body. And I can't see the screen now because of the light, so that's a little bit better. I'm joined here today by Junus, who's sitting on my lap, and Damiana is having a little wash. They've had a special treat of tuna. It's Tuna Saturday for them. So anyway, getting back on topic, if you're struggling, then this is the reason I make these videos. You may go through a period of having what are called night sweats, where you'll wake up in the middle of the night, you could more or less get a squeegee and run it across your chest, and you're just lying in a pool of water. That is a sort of cleansing of the avatar that is taking place. Another sensation will be ringing in the ears, which you may have experienced, because when you open up on this spiritual journey, don't be surprised if you get a whole load of new experiences come through, which is one of the reasons I started making videos on the previous channel and now carrying on this new channel, because I cannot access the old channel at present. Whether I will again, I don't know, but I see it as a reset, and probably the way I said things several years ago, I can now refine the message and say it in a more concise way with a building portfolio of experiences. So just to reiterate, I have overcome anxiety, I have overcome depression, I have overcome panic attacks, I've overcome a hernia. The mild stroke, the way we look at that is, well, if I end up having a severe stroke, then I will be laughing on the other side of my face. Important to inject humour in these things. Laugh in the face of adversity. And also link in with your intuition. And what will come out of that is that realization you are an immortal soul, you are unbreakable, and you will just be given more and more challenges. Don't think it's going to be an easy ride. It's not. But to be honest, it goes back to, I think it was an Alan Watts podcast, or it may even have been Neville Goddard, where someone said to him they'd had a heart attack, and this person that had the heart attack said, I recommend everybody has one. It's another experience, because it's like a reset. So the conclusion I've come with a stroke, it is a very material and very literal message that is where the body is telling on the mind. Because generally with a stroke, in a severe case, you can end up being paralyzed down one side. So what the message in that is saying is, look to the other side. It's referenced in the Bible with, it's actually Christ rather than Jesus, the resurrected immortal soul, who is standing on the shore, therefore on solid ground, and is saying to the disciples, cast your nets on the other side. It's another way of saying what the stroke is saying. But the stroke, by not going into the negative default programming, has opened up to a series of events that have been a stroke of luck. So I wish to impart that. But if you're struggling, if you're feeling like you're really down in sort of mud, as it were, then get in contact with me and I can help change it round for you. Now, I really can't see this screen at all because of the sun. I don't know how this is going to come out on video. So if nothing else, if I get one comment back up to this video that I really needed to hear that, or something on those lines, as far as I'm concerned, that is job done. That is the intention of these videos. But it is about know thyself. It is recognizing that you are an immortal soul within. That cannot be said enough. I was going to say cannot be stressed enough, but we don't need any stress. How do I approach life? There's that saying about I'll build a bridge when I come to it. Because what's the point of building bridges that you're never going to need to cross? Embrace every challenge. Observe what is happening. Allow it to pass like that rain cloud, and it will open up to something better for you. But if you go into that negative default, you will create a feedback loop upon yourself, and you will probably get a repeat experience which may actually be worse, and it will end up feeling like you had a mountain dropped down upon you. It can even get to the point where you feel like your whole world has collapsed all around you. But that's how you find rock bottom. It's a fact of this reality. If you wish to build a structure, something upright, you need a solid foundation. So going back to that story of Christ on the foreshore, he is on solid ground. That is the structure on which you build, in which you build inside yourself. It's all an inside job, which is reflected in the material reality as corruption. But internally, it is always something different. And I've never felt better than I have right now. Still got these few challenges, but even the mild stroke, I don't see it as a disability. I don't see it as a problem, because I just listen to the intuition. I listen to the signals from the body. Learning that internal language is probably one of the most important things you can do for yourself. That saying about do yourself a favor, as opposed to we are our own worst enemies, which we are when we start going into that negative of, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? The way to counteract that is to vision the future. You go to the end, as Neville Goddard says. You see the outcome and you see it through. As I've described it, you are the archer, you are the arrow, and you stay with that vision and you hit the bullseye. If you allow doubt and fear, if you go into things half-hearted, then you're going to miss the mark. That is the definition of sin. You've sinned against yourself because you've created a vision in your mind, but you've not seen it through to the end. But don't be tempted to try and put stipulation and demands or trying to figure out how it's going to come. It is about doing the unthinkable. Don't try and think your way through it or think your way out of it. Allow the process, because consider the energy that is required to bring something from the unseen, the immaterial, into the material. But things do come as material facts, as long as you hold true to the vision. It's what Neville Goddard spent an entire lifetime and made a career about talking about this. And he did have a very nice lifestyle, but he exited, I think he was about 72. He didn't have a particularly long life, and the same as Alan Watts. I believe he was only 67. But do you want a shorter, fulfilled life, or do you want a long life that is unfulfilled? There are plenty out there that do have these unfulfilled lives and build up a catalogue of regrets and wish I'd done this, wish I'd done that. Well, why didn't you do it? Your own fear stopped you. But when you recognize that you are an immortal within, that is the real game changer. And that is really the overriding message of this video. One final question I have for you: if you've not joined Archaix Underground, it's only going to cost you $5.52 a month. That's a smart investment, because what you'll get back out of that is priceless. It is like the initials of Archaix Underground. It is AU, which is the atomic symbol for gold. It is gold that you'll find in Archaix Underground across all different topics, the whole spectrum, the chronology, health issues, you name it, it's all there. It's a fantastic resource. And again, you get the chronology right, you've got a solid foundation on which to build. And you can also take those same blueprint patterns and you'll find you do have isometric markers in your life as well. And you'll have similar events playing out in the past and in the future. The key to it is recognizing that things are not being done to you, but are being done for you. So I don't know how long we've gone. I think it's about 21 minutes. I really can't see this screen. So I hope that has really helped inspire you. But the door is always open here. If you want to contact me direct, then please do so. I'm here to help. I'm here to be in service, to help my soul family, my frequency family get through this, so we go to that exodus, we go to that exit, and we get out of this reality, which, yes, it looks beautiful. But why wouldn't it look beautiful? It's a lure. Because if it looks totally evil, you'd be repelled by it. And it's the same with everything, be it religion, science. There's always something to entice people in. That saying about seek and ye shall find. Just keep in mind it's a double-edged sword. We're in a realm of duality. The more you look into something, the further you will go into a rabbit hole. All you need to do is get to that point of pattern recognition. And the most important pattern to recognize is that you are an immortal soul within. So with that, I'm going to say unconditional love to you all.